Good morning, everyone. It's Phil Wade from Dalton Wade Real Estate Group, and today we're going to be talking about converting Zillow leads, or really any internet type lead. So with us we have Drazen,
Hi.
Lisa, Micah, and Phil. So, all right. So there's two types of Zillow leads. There's what are called premier leads. So those are leads that come in that the property is either active and you're able to show the lead potentially the property, or it's active with contract. And then unfortunately on those properties it's a little bit more. You still might be able to show them, but it would only be as a backup offer. And then the other group of leads that Zillow provides are foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, and then unfortunately on those listings, in probably 98% of the cases, the property is actually not available to be seen, and really it's a lead to sort of begin a relationship with the person. So just stepping back a bit, what are kind of the key metrics around the Zillow lead? So the thing to think in terms of is 5%. So and I'm going to talk in terms of 100 leads, so that we can come up with nice round numbers here. So if you have 100 leads, you should be able to get 5 transactions, 5 closed transactions. So and if you look at the inverse of that, that means that 95 of the leads didn't yield anything, at least at that current time. So, but out of 100 leads, you should be able to get, a benchmark would be 5 closed transactions. Some folks will get 4, some will get 6, but on average 5, certainly makes doing it, very, very profitable. So. And then in terms of what's the average transaction, so there we're going to use $5,000. So the commission is $5,000. So and so we've got a 5% conversion rate, and then a $5,000 average transaction. So and then in terms of what's a good number of leads a month, sometimes somebody might get 4 leads in a month. Will take to get to 100. It'll take 20 months. So it's a long time before you're actually able to see much from it. So what I've found in working with folks is about 30 leads a month is a nice number. That's 1 a day. That allows you to work those leads. Still do some other prospecting, have time to show people properties, go to home inspections, all of that. So 30 leads, is certainly a manageable number. So again, that's about, to get to 100 leads, so that's about, little over 3 months. So again, within 3 months from your Zillow efforts, you would get 5 transactions. So what do you have to do in order to, what are the key sort of steps? So the first key step is to actually make contact with the person. That's critical. So again, if you're on, so there's kind of 2 programs here. There's the program where the company, Dalton Wade, is providing leads to to the agent, and then the other is the agent is purchasing the leads themselves. So unfortunately, we can't control when the leads come in. They just come in. People click that button, call at any time. So if you're on the program where the company is giving you leads, and you are away, you're out to dinner, you're at a baseball game, you're not actually able, to sort of handle that lead right at that time. So, if you're at the baseball game, you're not going to be calling the lead from the baseball game. You can't look up the property. You probably can't have a very good conversation with the person. So in that case, you'd want to send me a text and basically shut off the leads. Because what we found is when you're actually sitting at your desk and the lead comes in, you've got the best chance of actually having the best conversation with them. So, you know, if you're not available, it's certainly fine to be turned off, you know, the leads and then turn back on, you know, when you're ready to sort of accept them. Or you've gotten too busy, you know, you've got too much going on. You've got a full day, you're out showing properties, you've got home inspections. And the point of all this is that the leads need to be handled, you know, Zillow's best practice is 10 minutes. So you get the lead and you're supposed to make contact within 10 minutes, because what happens is if you don't, you know, make contact, more than oftentimes that person has maybe clicked on 2 or 3 agents, and, you know, somebody else is right on top of it, they get the business, you know, we get shut out. So, you know, quickness of response time is critical. So how do we respond? So we call, we text. If we don't get them, we leave a message, we text, we send them an email. So that's the initial contact strategy. And then, you know, maybe if you contacted them first thing in the morning, you might try again, you know, in the early evening to see if you haven't heard back from them to, you know, to kind of follow, you know, to follow back up with them. So we have Shell coming in now. Hey, Shell. Good morning. Thank you for coming. So just to recap, we're talking about the Zillow Leads, and we're just kind of getting into sort of, you know, the calling, the texting, the making contact. You know, it's a step-by-step process. The first step is to make contact, to speak to them, and then depending on sort of your own particular contact strategy. So what we find works the best is that you call them, you text them, you email them, then you go through that a second round, and then if there's no response, you know, the quality of that lead probably is not as good. We would still suggest putting them into My Matrix, so that they're getting the property alerts. We're keeping some type of information, you know, flowing to them, because if you think about it, not everybody's ready to purchase or engage an agent right now. So you might have a group of, you know, folks in your database of clients or potential clients that just right now is not ready, but they're going to be ready, you know, 2 or 3 months down the road. Their lease is ending, you know, whatever it has to be. So you're continually trying to work, you know, your pool of leads. And when we kind of get to the end of this discussion, you know, we'll talk about how sensitive all that is, and, you know, how, you know, just small changes in what you're able to convert adds up to a lot of money. So, so the first step is to make contact. And then once you've made contact, hopefully you've been able to schedule a time with them to go out and look at some properties. Nobody is buying anything without actually looking. So you have to go from speaking to them, they're a warm lead, to actually the next step is to get them out and show them properties. Now, not everybody you show properties to will actually then turn into a buyer, a transaction. So some folks, you know, have, you know, incorrect, you know, what they believe their money buys. There's a disconnect between what they bought, what they can afford, and then what they actually get. So, you know, they may say, well, I need to save some more money, I'm not quite ready, you know, and that person that you took out, you know, didn't actually turn into something right now. Now, you know, if you're good, you're hopefully keeping in contact with them. You know, I had a client that I turned over to Lisa. I showed her for, I don't know, probably 2 months. We put an offer in, and then, you know, kind of her credit was not where it needed to be. She still had a pre-approval, but, you know, she wanted to kind of get her credit up a little bit further. She took probably another 2 months off, stayed in touch, texted her every so often, kept it warm. And then, you know, when she kind of came back around, you know, we went back out, and, you know, I referred her on to Lisa at that point. So, but the point was, you know, the whole thing is you have a database of of clients that are in various stages. So some are really at no stage. They're dead, and they're probably not all that good a lead to begin with. The next group is somebody that's you've taken out, and then of the people you've taken out, they probably fall into a couple different categories. One would be you're nurturing them. Her name was Rochelle. I nurtured her. I continued to sort of like touch base with her. And I didn't she said, well, my credit's not where it needs to be right now. I didn't forget about her. I have a contact management system where, every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks I would send, Rochelle a little email or a text. How's it going? What's happening? I kept in touch so that when she was ready, it wasn't like, oh, where did he go? I was there. So that's kind of how you want to, and then the other group of people that you've taken out, would be hot leads. They want to buy a house right now. So Rochelle went from being kind of like a nurturer, and then when she kind of came back, she was hot. She wanted to buy like right away. So, and you'll meet people that you take out and they want to buy, immediately, some not as much. But how you work your group of leads is really the difference between, whether you get a 3% conversion or whether you get a 7% conversion. So let's extend that and try to put that into, real dollars. So we talked about 30 leads a month, right? And we talked about, so over the course of a year, that's 360 leads. Right, so that's a lot of leads. So if you, through your efforts, converted 3% of those, that's 10.8. I'm an accountant. So, or a total, we'll round it up to, so that's 11 transactions. So 11 transactions, and we're using 5,000 as our average. So that's 55,000 you generated in commissions. Okay. Now, by being better, by working that group more effectively, by keeping in touch, by really managing it, you're able to take it from 3% to 7%. So 7 times 360, 7% times 360 is 25 transactions. So 25 transactions at 5,000 is 125,000. So instead of making 55,000, you made 125,000. Huge difference. So it's very sensitive in terms of, okay, how do I manage and how do I take, as a company, on the Zillow Leads, we've been averaging around 6% conversion. So, Zillow says 4%, we've been averaging 6%. Some agents have done better, some a little less. So 5, 6, 7% is certainly not out of the realm. But here are things that can happen. You met a client, so we're going to talk about things that can kind of flub you up. You met a client, you took them out, and then they say, "Oh, I need to get pre-qualified." And then you didn't get back to them or touch base with them for 3 weeks. You just let them sit out there and you never sort of hit back on them. You didn't keep in touch. Then it gets odd that you're going to come back to them 3 weeks later and all of a sudden reappear. It doesn't make them feel like they were important to you. So what should have happened, say, in that step is that after 5 days, you sent them an email. How's it going? Have you had any success in getting pre-approved? Do you want me to send you another lender? Blah, blah, blah. So you've kept in touch so that, and then hopefully, I use a four contact kind of rule. So I hit people 4 times. So let's just use that example. So that person there, the first time I emailed them to sort of check in. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to re-engage with them. I'm trying to get them back out, okay? So I didn't hear from them. They didn't, email, texting, sometimes, people don't respond back. It happens. And then oh, are they mad at me? Did I do something wrong? No, probably not. You're not a priority right at that minute for them. So their thoughts are not on buying a house right then and there. Their thoughts are on something else. So then I would make a note in my database that, okay, I'm going to touch base with them in 6 days. So I have a little task list that pops up. So on day 6, I'm hitting them again. How's it going? What's new? How's that pre-approval coming? Do you want to go out and look? So I didn't forget about them and then not contact them again, because if you don't contact them, people buy when they're ready to buy. You've got to be there when they're ready. If you're not there, they're going to find somebody else, because they may click on a property, they may have forgotten about you. It's not that you did anything wrong, it's just that you didn't manage your database as effectively as you could have. And that management of all that is the difference between somebody who manages that really, really well, does the 7% conversion. Somebody who manages it not as well and really isn't managing it at all is a 3%. So, and again, that person makes $55,000 a year. The other person makes $125,000 a year. So it's very, very sensitive. So you have to think of, and again, there are people. Again, let's talk about that big pool of 360 leads that you're going to have developed over a year. Yeah, in that 360 people, 10 of them, the 3%, are like the easy transactions. Those are the ones that anybody could have gotten. You could be sleeping and still do business with those people. Okay, but the good agent, the person that's really working it and really has sort of an understanding of how to manage their database of leads, is the one who takes it up to 7%. So what they're doing is, they're putting their leads in, different buckets. And the buckets are, my hot leads, which you're probably showing are very active, and then your nurture. The nurture is the group that if you do it well, you'll be able to take them from nurture to hot. But if you forget the nurture people, there's gold in their database. You have to sort of be able to, to mine it. That's the key. And it's hard to know, again, of the 360 people over the course of a year, you got the 10 easy transactions, so that leaves you 350 people. You don't know who of the 350, who the 15 are that are actually going to convert. So you gotta ping them all. So I talked about the rule of 4. So if I ping them 4 times, right, then, and maybe I've called them a couple times, I've emailed them, I've texted them, now like a month has gone by, I might move them to 2 months. So maybe in 2 months, I'll hit them again, just how's it going, with the hope of like reactivating them. So some of them never reactivate, but that's okay too, because really it's just, you're just looking to maximize, your conversion rate. So it's it can be fun. I mean, it's a way of kind of measuring, your own results, how you're doing. Some common issues are not enough leads. That often can be problematic. Speaking to someone, she may be tuning in now. She's on the Zillow program herself. She gets 4 leads a month. It's so basically in the course of a year, she's going to get 48 leads. If she gets 2 deals out of it, it's certainly profitable, but there's just not enough there, in terms of throughput, to get a whole heck of a lot out of it. So you need enough leads, you need to manage your leads, you need to constantly be thinking about your conversion rate. Like, step 1, so we're kind of going to summarize here. You get the lead, step 1 is to get them out, to show them some properties. Step 2 at that point is to qualify them. Maybe they're, have some credit issues that need to be fixed. You can help them there, get them in touch with a lender. Some of them will be hot, some of them will be nurture. The hot ones are the easy ones, right? But the nurture group, those are the ones that you really got to stay in touch with systematically. So, my thing now is more on like the recruiting of agents. But it's the exact same principle. I've got a spreadsheet of 35 hot agents that I'm hoping will join. Now, are all 35 going to join? Absolutely not. But are there 5, 6, 7 in there that might? Yeah, definitely. And can I get it to 10? Yeah. So I'm pinging them all the time. So I send out the ping, right? You know, to remind them, hey, I'm still here, guys. I can help you. And then I put them, okay, you know, depending where they are, how many times I've hit them. I might put them out, I might ping them again in 3 days. I might ping them in 7 days. I might ping them in 2 weeks. I might ping them in a month. I'll have agents, happens rarely, but they do say they go to another organization, you know, but then I'll say, oh, can I check in? So I put them 5 weeks out, and then when 5 weeks come, my task hits me, I send them an email, how's it going there? You know, maybe it isn't going well. But if I didn't ping them, they forgot about me. It's the same thing with the Zillow leads. If you don't ping them, they forget, and then what ends up happening is when they're ready, the agent, maybe they clicked on a new property, you know, and a new agent comes into play, and that new agent gets their business, as opposed to, you know, the one other thing just before we finish up that we didn't talk about, every lead you should set up in My Matrix. My Matrix, Drevin, just so you know, is like a contact management system within the MLS. It allows you to send them, you know, property alerts. So they get an initial alert of all the listings that meet their criteria, and then they get a branded email from you if you set them up correctly on the auto alert. Every new property, you're constantly in front of them, and they probably know it's an auto-generated. I mean, not everybody knows it, but most do. It's auto-generated. So then, you know, you hit them again with that personalized email. That's something different. You know, like I've got one woman. She was a client. We had something under agreement. Then, you know, her partner ended up getting sick, and she had to put it on hold. I set her up on that. You know, when she sees a house, she says, "Oh, this is a cute house." Then I email her back, "Oh, you know, go out in a couple weeks." You know, you're just staying in touch so that when they're ready, you're the one that they're going to do business with. So, any questions, thoughts, comments? Lisa? Shell?
Sounds really, really good.
Micah? Anybody on Periscope want to put any questions in?
Shit. I might have just turned it off. No, you're still there.
Anybody? Any questions coming in?
No.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up. Remember, 7% is certainly possible. And if anybody has any, you know, wants to chat through it and kind of refine the process a little bit further, we have scripts we provide in terms of how to, you know, but a lot of it is as you get into, you know, sort of working, you know, Zillow or internet leads, you know, you know, don't be afraid to sort of mix it up. There's no sort of like 100% right answer. It's whatever works best for you, but the ultimate goal is to increase your, you know, your conversion rate. So we're going to sign off. Thanks for joining us on Periscope, and see you next week.